This is one of the greatest times to be alive. You have access to every single thing at your fingertips. You can talk to people around the world. You can find clients around the world. You can work with people around the world. You are meant to evolve. If you're not growing, you're dying. Look at me, for example. My brand started as a mindset and manifestation coach, and now I've built a digital empire. Just writing your affirmations in the morning isn't enough. Welcome to the first episode of My Dream Life with Giulia, Guerrieri, the first episode of 2023. I have been undergoing a podcast rebrand for so long, and it just feels surreal to actually bring it to life. And that is exactly why I kind of wanted to have a spin-off of the very first episode I ever created, which was how to manifest your dream life. And that's why this episode specifically is how to manifest your dream life in 2023. So when I first launched my podcast in July of 2022, I would say I'm in a very different place than I am now. A lot has changed. Of course, I have those same core foundations, but I've learned a lot since that time. And that's exactly what I want to bring into this episode today. But before we get really deep into this podcast, I want to set some expectations, what you can expect from me, what I'm expecting from you, and let's just honestly dive right into that. So this podcast has 3 core pillars and values, and those would be modern spirituality, entrepreneurship, and personal development. So as you guys may know, I started my personal brand as a mindset and manifestation expert, but it all really changed for me once I realized that I had manifested my dream life, and honestly, my life was growing at a faster pace than I could have ever imagined. It's like I wanted and desired these things, and they were coming into fruition so fast, which was a really magical experience. But at the same time, my business and my life was growing faster than I was growing as a person. So I constantly felt like I was chasing. I was in this like really chasing energy. And it was only when I took a step back during the summer of 2022 to really just think deeper into why am I building this business? Why am I building this brand? How am I standing in my leadership? How am I leading people? And more importantly, how am I being of service to people? And that's when I realized that I was craving a community. So even though I had a really large audience among Instagram, TikTok, this podcast, my newsletter, I have like over 6,000 people on my email list. What I realized is that I wanted a space for me to feel connected. I wanted like this deep rooted mission and this deep rooted why. And that's when I came up with the Conscious Creator Club, which is my free community. You guys can check it out in the show notes. And from that free community, so much has evolved. I've decided to fully rebrand my product suite and really move more in alignment with the Conscious Creator vision. And the Conscious Creator vision is really about achieving sweet freedom, spiritual, wealth, energetic, emotional, and time freedom. And what that means is really my personal transformation, my personal journey of how I went from negative 25K in debt to multi-6-figure digital CEO. And that's where the movement evolved. I realized that I had gone through this massive transformation, and I brought it to social media, and I began storytelling, and I began teaching people as I was growing and as I was expanding. And that is how this beautiful community has evolved. So around October of 2022, around my birthday, Libra season, I was really feeling this pull to connect people, to really expand my business, to evolve. I was running my signature group program live, and I was just loving that like connection and that personal relationship I had with my clients. And I wanted more of that, but I felt very disconnected because my brand started on TikTok, and TikTok is very much so just a discoverability platform. It's not so much a nurture platform like Instagram is, or like a podcast where, you know, it feels like I'm just sitting right next to you. So that's when I decided to create the Conscious Creator Club. And the Conscious Creator Club now has over 200 people in it, which I can't even believe because it only launched in November. There's a free course in there. I'm in there every single day. The women are just so empowering, inspiring, uplifting. It's just such a beautiful brand. And as I was thinking more and more, I had wanted to create this podcast more in alignment with where this brand is headed for me, where this business is headed, where I see myself in the next 5-10 years. What I see for myself and this brand is really teaching women how to create their dream life through building their own business. And that's where I realized that I have this X factor, this secret sauce of blending together the spiritual and the practical, because of course you guys know my story. And if you don't, you can go back to the very first episode of this podcast, but really finding a way to combine the two, because that is exactly what I did in my life. Like, I wouldn't have this business, this personal brand, this social media presence if I wasn't so strong spiritually and if I didn't have such a strong relationship to myself. So that's exactly where my brand is headed, this podcast is headed, and I really want to bring practical advice to you, but I don't want you to get too stuck in the practical or in the masculine. I really want you to have that creativity, that feminine flow, that trust in your intuition. So that's really my vision for this podcast. I'm super excited to get into today's episode and share all about how you can start creating your dream life and be living it by June of this year, let's say, probably even sooner. And I'm super excited about this episode because I took a little bit of a break and now I'm back. I bet you probably didn't even realize that I was taking a break. And I think those are the best breaks because you're like, what? Like, you've been posting content, you've been doing all the things. And honestly, I've just been going through a massive restructure behind the scenes. And we've kind of just been like maintaining everything on the forefront. So maintaining the content, maintaining with clients, growing the product suite, and we'll get into what all this means. But I really want this episode today to be about you and about how you can start and create and manifest your dream life in 2023, given our circumstances. So let's just kind of set the ground running with, this is one of the greatest times to be alive in history. You have access to every single thing at your fingertips. You can talk to people around the world. You can find clients around the world. You can work with people around the world. My video editor is in Pakistan. My virtual assistant is in Kentucky, the United States. Like, there's just so much opportunity in today's day and age, in today's world. So how can you really utilize it to your best potential and create your dream life? But before we can get into actually creating your dream life, it's really going to start with defining what your dream life means for you. So I remember when I was 25K in debt, my dream life just looked like having a really successful corporate job, paying off my debt and being happy. I wanted to be in a relationship. And that's what my dream life looked like then. Now my dream life is so different. Like, I just want to work from Wi-Fi and continue to serve my clients, be of service to people. And it's okay for your vision of your dream life to expand, to evolve. You are meant to evolve. If you're not growing, you're dying. So why are you doing this all? What does your dream life mean for you? That's the first part. You have to get extremely clear on what you desire. And don't fear that clarity is going to put you into a box, because although, look at me, for example, my brand started as a mindset and manifestation coach. And now I've built a digital empire, a massive social media presence, this omnipresence around Instagram, YouTube, podcast, everywhere. Like, I'm there, it feels like. But that would have never happened if I didn't have a very clear picture of what I wanted for my life in each season of my life. The next step is to get very clear on your beliefs, right? So it's like, you can start with the vision, right? It's like the asking for what you want, asking for what you desire, and being very crystal clear. You can journal about it. You can visualize, you can meditate, you can go on a walk and think about it. But then you need to really believe it. And I think this is where a lot of people get stuck because they don't realize that just writing your affirmations in the morning isn't enough. It's all about the feeling. It's all about the embodiment. And in my free community, a lot of people have been asking me, Giulia, how do I embody this version of me? How do I embody this next best version of me? And the truth is, you have to believe the words that you're saying. You have to find that inner confidence. And how do you find that? You find it by creating it. So how do you create that? You get very clear. What are the beliefs that you have about yourself right now? What are the negative things that you say to yourself on repeat? And I have my own, trust me, I am like my own worst inner critic. And I think especially as women, we kind of have this double duty where we feel this pressure to have to be perfect. And I want you to really sit down and write out, maybe pause this podcast and come back to it. Or if you're on a walk, write in your notes, or if you're driving, please don't do it right now. And please wait till you pull over, you get to your destination. But I want you to write down every single limiting belief that you have. Every limiting belief that you have that is stopping you from living your dream life. So if you're here, you're probably an aspiring entrepreneur. You probably want to start, grow, and monetize your own personal brand. So why haven't you done it yet? I want you to be so honest and raw and real and vulnerable. And after you do that, I want you to have like a release ritual. And I teach this in one of my courses, and it's one of my favorite rituals. I absolutely adore it. And I want you to have this release ritual where you rip up this piece of paper, you delete the notes app, or delete the page in your notes app, you just full blown delete. Like I actually just did this yesterday where I had wrote down every limiting thought that I had and I ripped it up and I flushed the paper down the toilet. So have some sort of release ritual where you decide today that you are fully releasing these limiting beliefs and that they're no longer going to hold you back. And then the third step is going into receiving, this receiving energy. How can you receive it? So I'm seeing a lot of stuff on TikTok where people are talking about being the luckiest girl alive. So I've actually done this for such a long time. And I think a lot of the most successful entrepreneurs do this as well. They just don't realize they're subconsciously manifesting. And what the TikTok had said, and I fully believe this, is walk around saying, I am the luckiest person alive. Everything is happening for me. I trust that the universe has my back and everything is always working out for me. You can also call it playing the positive what if game. That's what Abraham Hicks says, and I absolutely love doing that as well. So I just said, let me try it out. I'm going to do it this morning. And it was so amazing because it's like I just so fully trusted it because so many of my manifestations have come true that I just said to myself, I am the luckiest person alive. Everything is always working out for me. The universe has my back, and I trust abundance is always on its way to me. It's on its way to me as I speak. And today, what do you know it? I got paid out for a collaboration that I did over $4,000. I unexpectedly received a referral bonus from my accountant because I had referred somebody to their firm, $300. And that was almost a $5,000 day, which is like so insane. $5,000 cash. And that was just so insane and abundant. And like, it just felt so good. And it's because I was in this receptive energy. I'm open to receiving. So how can you be open to receiving? I want you to like sit in silence. I want you to just get really quiet and listen to your intuition and ask yourself, how can I be open to receiving in this very moment? Right? So you had your ask, you shifted your belief system, and now you're open to receiving. So how can you really be in this magnetic, receiving, receptive energy to continue to bring your manifestations into fruition? And there's kind of like a bonus step that I add in my courses and my teachings and my content everywhere that I don't think enough people are talking about. And it's the step of taking inspired actions. So your dreams are only going to manifest if you take actions in alignment with your high vibe thoughts. So if you start saying affirmations in the mirror like, I am wealthy, my dream clients always find me, but then you sit around all day and you don't do anything, how do you expect these manifestations to manifest? They're not going to. And this is where a lot of people get tripped up because they're thinking, oh, I know how to follow directions. I'll write the affirmations in my journal. I'll say the things in my mirror, but why aren't I receiving the abundance? Why aren't the clients showing up? Why am I still working this job? And it's most likely because you don't feel it. You're not embodying it. So how can you embody these feelings that you want to manifest in your life? If you want to start having abundance, you want to start manifesting more money into your life, what would the most abundant version of you do right now? Go do that thing. One of my private clients, we were talking and she is really going through this thing and she's like, Giulia, I just want to be in this more receptive energy. She's feeling very blocked. She's feeling like nothing's working out for her. And I said to her, go do something fun. Go play, go do something fun. Give yourself pleasure. I want you to experience pleasure and joy and happiness. So what she did was she went rock climbing and she sent me a selfie. She sent me a voice note. She's like, Giulia, I am in the best energy. I'm so happy. Everything's working out for me. And it fully just shifted her energy. So what do you need to do right now? What is the inspired action you need to take? So this is where you really have to get strong with your intuition and ask yourself, what is the inspired action you need to take? So you have to know the difference between self-sabotage and self-care. So my client, for example, was self-sabotaging because she was continuously taking actions while she was not in a good feeling state. So for her, she needed to focus on the energetic. She needed to focus on being in the good feeling momentum. Now, if the client was in the best, high vibe feeling, she's like, I trust in abundance and I trust. I really believe it for myself, but the clients still aren't rolling in and the money's not rolling in. It's not reflecting my bank account. What are the specific actions that you need to be taking to be manifesting into fruition through inspired action? So what phase are you at right now? And this is so important for you to get crystal clear and decide for yourself what phase you're in of your life and business. Are you in a phase, and this is actually what I say in my business, is the business and life as well, it goes in harmony with the 4 seasons of farming. So there's planting, right? There's harvesting, there's when the crops are growing, and there's a rest season. So what season are you in? So these past few months for me, I was in a major rest season. So inspired action in that season looked like for me, resting, recharging, taking time for me, increasing my knowledge, increasing my skills, a little bit of research and development. I'm going to be in a season of enjoying the fruits of my labor, enjoying the seeds that I planted that harvested into beautiful crops. So what season of your life and your business are you in right now? And think about it deeply. And once you know what season you're in, you'll know exactly the actions that you need to take. So something that I'm doing with my private clients right now is we're setting up 90-day roadmaps. So 90-day roadmaps to decide what season of business you are in. And maybe you move with the actual seasons of summer, fall, winter, spring, right? What season are you in? And then you'll know exactly what actions you need to take. So this is where it's very important to get crystal clear on what season you're in, so you're not hard on yourself, because there are many times where I was in one season and taking action in a different season and it screwed everything up. So for example, if I was in a season of rest and trying to create all this content and do all these things, it actually didn't benefit me. And that's exactly what happened. And I ended up spending a lot of money trying to outsource the things that I didn't want to do, because all I needed to do was really just rest. And the best thing you can do is learn from someone else's mistakes so you don't make them yourself. So you don't get yourself into a hole where you feel like, oh, I was just in a season of rest and I was going overboard with trying to harvest, and that wasn't actually the season that I'm in. So this podcast episode is jam-packed with so much value that you're probably going to want to re-listen to it. You're going to want to take notes. But before we go, I want to leave you with this. If you knew that you could have, do, and be anything that you desire, what would you do? And that one question changed my life because that's when I knew my passion was to build my own business. Build a business that was very impactful and that was a service-based business that was to be of service to this world. Because a big limiting belief that I used to have when I started out on my journey, I had a lot of limiting beliefs that I wasn't ready yet. I didn't have enough experience. I didn't have enough knowledge, all these limiting beliefs that I couldn't even dream with the lid off. So that is why the belief section of this podcast is so important. And I would love for you to share this with a friend. Go back and listen to it. Send me a DM on Instagram, because when you can expose your highest self to the universe, you can start showing up as your highest self. You can claim these big dreams, claim these affirmations. That's when it all starts to shift and starts to change. But if you don't believe these things for yourself, how is the universe going to deliver them? Because we're all energy, right? There's thought energy, there's money energy, there's so much energy. Everything is made up of energy. So your energy has to energetically match your desire. And if you're writing in your journal and things aren't coming true and you're feeling stuck and you're like, I believe in abundance, but the clients aren't showing up and the money's not reflecting my bank account and I'm still working this job, you have to go deeper and say, what am I not believing for myself? Because everything that's showing up in your life is an energetic match for who you are. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. Everything in your life is being reflected back to you. And this is a major accountability check. So I know this is a hard pill to swallow, and I have to swallow this pill myself so many times, because even though I'm not in those limiting beliefs anymore of feeling like I'm in a broke mindset or I'm in debt or those kind of things, I still have new and bigger and better limiting beliefs that I'm constantly working through. This is a constant evolution of self, and it's a forever journey. So thank you guys so much for listening to this podcast. I absolutely loved it. I hope you loved it too. And send me a DM on Instagram. Let me know what your favorite part was. You can even share it to your story and tag me. I love resharing them. And don't forget to click the link in the show notes to join my free community. And I cannot wait to see you there and see you next week for our weekly episode of My Dream Life with Giulia Guerrieri.